Murphy.
All right. Good morning, good evening. This is like my new greeting wherever you're at in the world, whatever time it is. Thank you so much for tuning in to Give Them the Business Talk Show. I am your co-host, Joy McLaughlin-Harris.
And I am the Darren Murphy.
The Darren Murphy.
Yes.
And we have a special guest here today. We're going to let you introduce yourself to the people, to the world.
Well, humbly, I have titles and things like that.
Okay.
Reverend Dr. Nicholas Cooper Luter.
Right.
I'm called the Soul Whisperer and the Inmate Whisperer. And but you can just call me Dr. Nick.
Dr. Nick.
Yes.
So this is Dr. Nick today.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I've had the pleasure of just finding out a little bit of information about Dr. Nick, so you guys are in for a surprise today.
Yes.
That's all I got to say. So sit down on your couch and enjoy the Give Them the Business Talk Show, because we're truly going to give you the business today.
Yeah, so this is Exit 10. Basically, you've completed the workbook. You arrived to your destination. Now what? I really believe that the business plan will only get you so far, just like your passion will only get you but so far. After that, you have to tap into some other things. Dr. Nicholas, he's great as far as examining the mind and finding out how that works. And I believe that after the business plan, you need to have drive.
Absolutely.
You need to have motivation. And you need to make sure your mindset is correct, because you now have a product that is going to service a lot of people and they need it. You're solving a problem with your business.
Right.
So we want to make sure that you have enough gas in your car
to keep going. That's good.
Yes. So in your experience, Doctor, what do you think stops a lot of entrepreneurs from starting to carrying on further?
Well, first of all, you know that for 41 years I've been helping people take the limits off their life.
Yes.
We call it the no limits lifestyle.
Yeah.
We talk about being champions by choice and wretched no more by choice.
Wow,
and so one of the things that I focused on is I'm an adopted child, as you may know, and my biological mother and the mother who raised me actually were sisters, but I did not know that I was adopted. And the mother that raised me was omnicompetent, beautiful, that kind of thing, just amazing. And she succumbed to alcoholism. And when she was drinking, she was very brutal. You know, she used to say, "We have to beat the devil out of you." My mother, who gave me up because she wasn't married, in those days when you got pregnant without being married, you embarrassed the family.
Right.
And so they hid my birth. Now, I say all that to simply say they were church girls.
Right.
And they were very, very, they're beautiful, they were intelligent and all of those things. And basically they died unfulfilled, unpotentiated lives. And so here's a case where they had access to resources, but there was something missing. And on their deathbeds, I had to, they died young. I was given a charge by one of them in particular, and she said, go and find what killed us. And so it's not that we didn't have resources. It's not that we didn't have opportunities, but something destroyed us. And then her sister, of course, said something very similar. And so I spent years looking for what that was. What would make us, for instance, make decisions against our better judgment? What would make us get in relationships that are unhealthy and stay there? What would make us, in fact, seek things that were self-destructive, even though we might think not at the time? And so one of the questions is, what happened to us? And through my mother's, I was charged to go out, and on my mother's deathbed, she said, go find the ugly ducklings and let them know that they're really swans, because the world that they live in, the duck yard, will not tell them. So bottom line, I had to find out what it was, what is missing. And in order to help people become all they could be, I found it finally. And basically, it starts with basically four things. The first thing is, who are you? Really?
That's good.
When I asked that, and I've asked that for 40-some years in practice, I taught at several universities. The latest was University of South Carolina. I taught in the Honors College, was #1 in the nation. And I taught a course on overcoming the odds in sports and beyond, and also the no limits lifestyle. And apparently for 10 years, they thought that was a very important thing to do. But the key was, and I would ask the students, and that's thousands of people along with my private practice for 40-some years, who are you? And they would begin to tell me, I'm a student, I've achieved this. They would give me their titles. They would do all those kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
And they would make statements like that. And I would say, well, I didn't ask you for that. Right. I asked you to tell me who are you? And in all of those years, I've never had a group of people be able to tell me who they are.
Wow.
I have not had couples who come in for counseling be able to tell me who they are. The second thing is, what is your definition of love? And most people will tell you it's a feeling, unconditional. And I say, well, if you happen to be a believer in Jesus Christ, and you happen to be a Christian in the church, if it's unconditional, why is there heaven and hell? Sounds to me like they're conditions. So you're attempting to do something with people that you say that your God doesn't even do. Except in the sense that God gives everybody sunlight, rain, or what have you. But in terms of, but there are conditions about, on who you are. So again, who are you really? And what is your evidence? And then the second thing is are you connected to your ancestors and their achievements so that you don't have to doubt that you are in a long line of people who have been very successful at developing for thousands of years, very successful, not just a business, but whole civilizations. Right. Then the next thing is, what is your purpose? And so a lot of times, and we have to be honest about it, we live in a competitive culture that says compete, and wherever you have competition, you have jealousy, envy, greed, and betrayal.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, what I suggest to people is, if we're made in the image and likeness of God, then we ought to be operating in a similar fashion. And so God doesn't compete. God creates.
That's it.
So if you're not sure who you are, then you wouldn't know that you're in the creation business.
That's it.
Right,
You
that's
think
good.
you're in the competition business.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
really
And
good.
so as an entrepreneur, you imagine competing with all those multimillionaires, billionaires, and what have you, get overwhelmed and fall apart.
Right.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you say, I've been called to create something,
Yes.
for instance, one of my statements is, I've been called to create heavens where hells previously existed, starting with myself. So again, back to who are you? And then after your purpose is, what's your destiny? So I think one of the problems we have after we've been so busy proving we can do, we miss what I think the good book says comes first. Who are you?
Yes.
And if you know who you are, you make different kinds of decisions
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
than you do
Absolutely.
when you're simply chasing the things the world has put out there. And I get to talk to world champions, very wealthy people. I'm a trader, performance coach. I'm a certified executive coach, all of those things. But the bottom line, what people come to me and say is, can you help me?
Yeah.
And I ask them, help you to do what?
Right.
Because you've been doing a lot of doing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then when they finish with that, I say, again, I go back to love. What is love?
Right.
And they go back to all that. So I tell them, I said, let me give you a working definition for love. And it works in business too.
Right.
Love is a creative activity by choice with identifiable and measurable outcomes.
Wow.
I ask mothers at 2 and 4 o'clock in the morning when you're breastfeeding, do you feel like it? And they go, no. I said, but you do it, right? Because they're identifiable and measurable outcomes.
That's it.
And if that's what love is, then love's not a feeling. You can attach feelings to it.
Yes.
Right.
You know, jealousy, envy, and greed. You go to a funeral and people screaming and hollering, crying, and they say, you mistreated that person their whole life. You know, where'd they go? Where'd they go? Well, you didn't care when they were here. Right. On the other hand, you can do care, concern, compassion, and empathy. So you can attach that. What does that do for you? Well, it changes everything. So when you say, I love my business, one, do you have a choice?
Right. Right.
And are there identifiable and measurable outcomes? And have you created something that's never been created before from where you sit?
That's good.
You said a lot just now. A lot.
That was amazing.
Yeah, good stuff. I just want to reiterate a couple of things that you said as far as creation. You know, we have the opportunity to create, and I tell people all the time. I said, I don't do business for money. I do it for relationships. And I don't believe in competition, you know. And I think one of the reasons why I don't believe in competition is that I found my purpose. I know what my assignment is because I know that my assignment is my assignment. It's a one-lane road type of situation, and nobody else is in the way of my assignment. You know, and kind of I guess I would dumb down what you said about the creation pieces. Because I always quote this part of this movie. I'm a superhero fanatic. So Iron Man 3, he's just got beaten up. His suit's not working. He's in a garage, and a little boy comes up to him and said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do." I'm paraphrasing. And the little boy said, "But you're a mechanic, created." Mm-hmm. And that's what I realized. In that moment, I realized I can create whatever I want my income, my outcome to be by just doing. Mm-hmm. And so because I can do that, I don't have to worry about, okay, well, somebody's doing this, somebody's doing that. I'm creating something totally different that I haven't even seen in essence, and I'm doing it. And I think if entrepreneurs think about that on that level to where it's okay to take an idea from here, take a concept from here, but create something new. Right. Be innovative. There's no, they say that the fastest way to get to the top of the hill is by creating your own hill. Right.
Well, you know what they say about genius. They say genius, and even in science, that it's not that you can't see it. It's not that it's not visible. It's not there. It's that you uniquely see it and therefore build upon what you uniquely see. And so understanding, and this is what I tell entrepreneurs all the time, you're a person in the creation business. And you're sitting here comparing yourself to people who have made other things, and you get overwhelmed, depressed, you quit, and what have you, because you're comparing yourself. Yes. Now, if the idea is I'm going to create something, then, let's take the acorn, which grows into a great oak tree. It's not confused. It doesn't grow up. First of all, it puts its roots down, right? Yeah. And then when it comes up, whether the weather's good or bad, it doesn't care. It says, when I finish, I will be an oak tree. Yes. I'm not trying to be a pear tree. I'm not trying to be an apple tree. And so we can easily be distracted when we don't know who we are. Exactly. And then if we don't know who we are, how do we know that we're called according to that purpose?
That's really good. I think what we were talking about a little bit earlier on one of the other shows, just knowing your identity, knowing who you are, that's going to give you a whole nother level of confidence where you don't have to compete because you know purpose, you know identity and all of those things, and you're confident in that and you can walk in that. And like you said, you're constantly creating in that because you know who you are. Yes. So I think before you even step into the whole entrepreneur world, do some self-work, do some self-searching, some soul-searching, all of that.
And I think that's what the workbook does. It gives you opportunity to take the ideas and concepts that you have in your head, you put them down on paper, and now you're able to actually evaluate. Right. And through that evaluation process, you're able to see what works for you, what doesn't work, and so you discover your identity in that process. So now you can go forward with your plan because now you know who, what, when, where, and why. Most importantly, why.
And that's what Habakkuk says, write the vision and make it plain.
Now, you do know that, and we've talked about this before, so I tell people don't deal with why. Yeah. Who, what, where, when, and how are all measurable.
That's true.
And when you're dealing with creating, just like you say, day 1's good, day 2's good, day 3's good, day 4's good, day 5 good, day 6 is very good. That's identifiable and measurable outcomes. And so why is often a philosophical question. And we get into these debates, well, why would God this? Why would this? And why would that? And you can spend your whole life caught up in why. On the other hand, if you say who, what, where, when, and how, and it's because I'm called because of who I am to do this particular thing, then I spend less time befuddled.
That's deep. It makes you really think.
Yeah. And the whole idea is creation is measurable.
Right.
Entrepreneurship is about making something that's invisible visible. Right. So in order to know that you're doing that, you have to have an identifiable, that's your plan. It has to be identified. In other words, when we do this, we will call it this. And measurable, is this top notch? Is this not? Whatever. The minute we can do that, things change immediately. It works even in relationships. if I say I love you,
right,
then there should be, by choice, some identifiable and measurable outcomes that we both agree on creating.
right, right.
So we're creating a marriage, we're creating a relationship, so the bottom line is when we know who we are and that we're creators and we know that purpose, we know the connection, and we know what's the destiny. Our job is to create heaven wherever hell's previously existed, starting with ourselves.
That's
Wow.
it. That's it.
That's awesome. That was good.
Yeah.
You know, like right there, it's like we don't need to say anything else because that in itself was so powerful and profound. Like, God, that was good to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna play this back a couple times.
Yeah, definitely. And just keep looking at it, keep looking at it, keep looking at it.
Yeah, I don't feel like I took enough notes.
Right. But I think the most important thing, like you said, is that who. Who are you?
Yes.
And knowing that who.
And we say, who are you really?
Right. We got to add the really to it, not just who are you.
Not because folks have been saying this. If you believe your experiences, we say what? We say experience is the language of the spirit. Then environment is its first cousin.
Right.
Even God's love must be mediated long enough, strong enough, and intentionally enough until such time as it can be embraced as real.
Wow.
So again, those are the kind of the ingredients,
Right,
Yes.
you know? And so if you think of it that way, then you're back to what are my choices? What am I creating? And what am I going to call the identifiables? And then how am I going to measure that? But here's the other thing. When we say, who am I really? What's my evidence? What is my evidence? Think about that for a second. What is my evidence?
Yeah.
If I say I'm an entrepreneur, what's my evidence? If I say I'm a creator, what's my evidence? If I say I love you, what is our evidence?
Right. Go back to the evidence.
And I like the part you were talking about, and I know this might be a little bit off business topic, but you were even talking about your ancestors.
Yes.
Because I know, like, for me, what switched in my life, I can say it was a switch, was when my granddaddy died.
Yeah.
And when my granddaddy died, I realized how important he was to the community and how much work he did to develop a community. And so I felt like at that time, a torch was given to me. And so ever since that moment, I made sure that I was building communities, building relationships, teaching people how to work together. And I think, I tapped into something there.
Of course, the mantle got passed, but the other piece is that most people don't realize, for lots of reasons, which could be a whole discussion of, anyway.
Of its own, yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that life is a business. That when you come into this world, you're an entrepreneur. You have not lived this particular experience before. And so every day you're an entrepreneur making what? Who am I really?
Right.
What's my evidence? What's my purpose? Wait a minute, ancestors, they were in the business, and I say this, they're in front of us. Why? Because they've passed forward. So we're really going to where they are. So the question is, what did they leave in place?
Yes.
So like you did, you picked it up, and it felt natural, felt normal, because your ancestors are right there with you.
That's it.
And then the bottom line is, what's your destiny? Again, creating heaven. That's a business.
That's it.
And that's life, and that's love, and that's raising children. So if you understand what you all wrote in your book, everything's a business.
Yes.
Right.
You can take what you have. I looked at your workbook here a few minutes ago, and I said, you can take this and use this in any aspect of your life. Don't get confused. It's about just money or it's just about this or that. But when I looked at it, I said, well, what that workbook does is it helps you begin to get out of your head and out of your heart.
Yes.
What needs to be gotten out. Most of us think it's head knowledge, but our ancestors said it was heart knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I'm just going with that. That's what you typed into. You didn't have someone say intellectually, let's examine your prefrontal lobe. What you did was you let the spirit speak to you, and you knew what to do going forward.
That's it.
That's it. That's powerful.
And I think it is transferable. I don't know if I should say this on air, but it's really been on my spirit to do something for relationships.
Yeah.
And I really believe, like you said, with the same outline, if you don't have a vision for your relationship, where you guys are going, it's hard for you guys to walk together.
Right.
In our premarital and marital work, we go through 9 different areas, and one of the 2 areas we go through is what is your vision and what is your mission. And then we talk about doing it backwards. When you can see heaven, then we can march backwards to where we are today.
Wow.
And so vision and mission.
They're the same thing.
And most couples will go and they get married and don't have a vision, don't have a mission, and they can't define love, and they can't tell you who they are. Any wonder we have such troubles.
Yeah. My people without vision perish.
It's a business. When you get a partner, relationship, right?
Yep.
Right.
It's a business.
Yes.
I'm dating you with the idea that are we having in common our vision?
Yes.
Right.
Are we seeing that we want to end up in the same place?
Yes.
Right.
Instead, we talk about things that perhaps we could leave better till later.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
So when we get the new question, is the book only for entrepreneurs? What is the new answer?
No.
Absolutely not. So you know what? We're going to do some new videos.
Yes.
You can take this book and use it for the foundational tools for your life. You can sit down with your husband or your wife. You know.
Kids.
So we're excited
Children.
about this. Your children.
Yes.
You know, so now, it may be called the Journey Workbook for business owners, but we're going to change the cover.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys can know that you can
We'll see it
use
again.
this. Right? But it makes sense, like you said.
Oh, yeah.
You can use the same workbook actually for your life,
Yes.
for your marriages, your relationships, children, and the same foundational principles that we're talking about in business is everyday life.
Yes.
That's what it is, the business of life.
The business of life.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Pass me those books.
Okay. We got a lot of good books.
Yes, I want to. There you go. I just want to make sure you guys know that Dr. Nicholas is a phenomenal writer, speaker. He does sessions, and we just want to let people know how they can get in contact with you.
Yes, they can go online for my website, www.cooperluder.com, and they can also go on Facebook. I've got 4 sites on Facebook: Dr. Nick, Dr. Nicholas. We got a bunch of them. Also, I'm in LinkedIn. You know, Dr. Nick again, that kind of thing. If they would go just on the internet and type my name, all those things pop up.
Oh, yes.
And the other thing is I would like people to even go over to YouTube. I have a number of videos over there. And of course, on my website, there's some free downloads, by the way. If they go there, they just have to put their email in there. And then, of course, you could always call my office at 803-462-7181.
Yes.
462-7181. So we'd love to work with you. We coach. We work with a lot of athletes. We work with businesses. Work with traders. We work with all kinds of whoever who wants to realize their no limits lifestyle, become champions by choice, and get rid of any wretchedness that might be lurking in their what we call epigenetic inheritance.
Oh my God.
That program. Is that where that program is coming from?
Well, it's the hottest thing going on. We now know, evidence-wise, that your DNA is impacted, your genome is impacted by the experiences of your ancestors. And we've documented it, and it's the new cutting-edge field. Goes along with multi-generational legacies of trauma and what have you. So the bottom line is that you and I, we are sitting here, and all our ancestors and everything they went through are sitting here with us.
Wow, that's powerful. Yeah, this show has been beyond amazing. Like, Darren, I'm going to go back and look at it over and over and over myself. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This is awesome information. So, you got anything else you want to add, or?
No, he said it all. He definitely gave the people the business.
Right.
And, like I said, make sure that you put yourself in a position to where you're learning and growing.
Every day.
And every day. Exactly. You need to be intentional about your growth and your learning. And sometimes you need to invest in coaches, mentors, people who understand things and have studied things for years, so they can pass that knowledge to you, so you can actually be more beneficial to the world and for your assignment. And again, make sure you get the book, because that is part of that. Yes.
All right, so guys, make sure, like Darren said, get mentors, get people that can help you take things to the next level. And I remember we were in a similar conference recently, and they were saying, be in a room of people that make you uncomfortable.
Yes.
That's going to stretch you, stretch your mindset to make you better so that you can grow in what it is that you're desiring to do. So I am Joy McLaughlin Harris.
I'm Darren Murphy.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right, that was good stuff. So let me